and welcome to A Year of Film. I'm Thomas Holbrook, and here's what's coming up on tonight's show. We review the highly Oscar-tipped Gravity, starring Sandra Bullock and George Clooney. How has the first prequel in the Pixar line fared? You'll see the review on Monsters University. As well as Zack Snyder's summer blockbuster, Man of Steel. So, we start tonight's show with Gravity, the highly Oscar-tipped space thriller directed by Alfonso Cuarón. See Sandra Bullock and George Clooney fight for survival in space and try to get back to Earth. We asked members of the public for their opinions.
I enjoyed it quite a lot. The visual effects were outstanding. Acting was very good.
I really loved Gravity. I thought it was like the only film I've ever seen that actually used 3D in a really good way. So otherwise I hate 3D films, so I thought that in terms of that, it worked really well.
It met the hype. When I heard about the visual effects, I was sort of a bit hesitant. Couldn't believe it. I mean, when people said, oh, you feel like you're in space, I mean, I actually thought like we were in space for a couple of minutes, like within the film. I liked it a lot.
I didn't particularly like the ending, but I felt that everything else made up for it, so I just about got over it.
Characters were slightly weak. Sandra Bullock's character was just quite annoying, and the whole she only trained for 7 months was a bit unrealistic.
I think it should definitely win Oscars in terms of effects. Whatever those kind of categories are, I have no idea.
For visual effects, yes. For best film, no. I feel that 12 Years a Slave is going to be winning that award.
I did love Sandra Bullock in it, and I thought she was great. However, I have seen other performances that I think should get the Oscar.
I think maybe leading role as an actress. She might get it, but that's a might, maybe, sort of thing.
And I like the fact that it was quite short, like it was really well kind of timed and it flowed really well and it didn't feel like it was trying to drag stuff out apart from maybe the end, as I already said.
Now, for a 3D film, I must say, I am very impressed, and this is coming from someone who doesn't like 3D. It has a very good use in the film and keeps the audience enticed the entire time. The graphics are so realistic that it distorts the boundaries between animation and reality. Like Avatar, expect this to take the Best Effects Oscars. Sandra Bullock puts in a terrific performance which is giving her a nod for a nomination, but the Best Actress award looks to be wrapped up already by Cate Blanchett, being the front runner for Blue Jasmine. Using complicated techniques, the cinematography is absolutely superb, and I wouldn't for a moment hesitate to put money on it winning the Oscar for that category. It is an incredibly intense film, and definitely lives up to the hype created before its release, and unless 12 Years a Slave and Wolf of Wall Street have something to say about it, I can see this film winning Best Film and Best Director. But for me, Gravity is my film of 2013. Now, Monsters University brings back the voices of John Goodman and Billy Crystal for the first ever Disney Pixar prequel, as the film shows how Mike and Sully first met. 12 years after the release of Monsters Inc., director Dan Scanlon directs, writes and acts in his first major film that has managed to earn just over $743 million worldwide. Once again, we asked members of the public for their opinions.
I really liked it, but maybe it's just because I am a bit of a sucker for Pixar and I do love those characters. At first I thought I was going to hate it because I didn't like those, I didn't find it as funny as I thought I would find it, but as it sort of went on, more characters sort of came into play and I liked those characters. So yeah, I thought it was good. It wasn't as good as Monsters Inc., but I think it was a good follow-up.
I thought it was really funny and I really liked it, and I thought it was a perfect sequel to, or prequel to Monsters Inc.
It was okay, I thought.
I liked how we got to learn about Mike and Skowski and their friendship and how that was building, and the characters before Monsters Inc. and how their childhood was.
The whole film was leading up to these challenges. I think there were 5 in total, and I feel that we saw at least 2 in full, and then the other 3 they just skimmed through them. and I felt that it's very it's not very good filmmaking if you're going to have to skim through something you've been building up to for the whole film.
I mean, yeah, the thing is, it could have been funnier in terms of the actual characters of Mike and Sully. I think that there could have been a bit more potential for there to be a little bit more of a joke between them.
Didn't particularly have many problems. I was hoping for a different storyline for some of the characters.
Yeah, should probably win an award, but I haven't seen Frozen and I really need to, so I can't make a comment.
Okay, that's all.
I hope it does, but I'm not particularly sure it will.
And with films like Frozen out, I feel that's probably going to steal the show animation-wise. Other than that, no, nothing.
For a film that created so much hype before its release, I must say I was very disappointed. Not to say it's completely unsuccessful, as Billy Crystal and John Goodman once again adopt the characters very well and links to aspects from Monsters Inc., but it does have some major flaws. Unlike Toy Story 3, Monsters University doesn't get anywhere near the level of its predecessor and fails in many areas such as comedy and even the story itself, as it takes a while to find where it's going. I feel that Pixar's last 3 films, including this one, show that the golden age of Pixar is over, with films like Cars 2 and Brave failing to reach the standards of Toy Story, The Incredibles and Up. Monsters University has already missed out on a Golden Globe for Best Animation, and I wouldn't be surprised if it misses out on an Oscar. With films like Frozen, possibly the best musical Disney have done since The Lion King, being tipped as a big hitter in the music categories as well. However, I was proven wrong last year when Brave beat Wreck-It Ralph. You never know what could happen.
And I'm not.
Our final film tonight is Zack Snyder's superhero epic, Man of Steel. The film with no tagline was produced by the Dark Knight director Christopher Nolan and written by David S. Goyer. The film managed to round up over $662 million worldwide and already has a sequel lined up. We took to the streets to see what people thought of it.
I believe it's like the Superman movie that everyone kind of needed. I feel that the whole Superman films in the past have been just not that great.
I really enjoyed it. It was very action-packed, and I liked the storyline and the scenes with the family and how they were really close, even though he wasn't their true son.
The father, or the adoptive father of Cal, just tells him to stop whilst there's a tornado, even though that Cal is Superman, he's invincible. So I don't know why Cal didn't save his adoptive father.
I didn't particularly like how he just randomly flied up. It didn't really make sense.
Superhero films don't tend to really go out and win Oscars, apart from Dark Knight, and I'm sure there's others, but I feel, no, this isn't an Oscar-worthy film.
I hope it does. Hopefully it'll win some awards. It might do. It was a very good film, so I think it could.
Zack Snyder looked to put his last awful failure behind him, as Sucker Punch failed to gain any praise at all. Man of Steel was his next big blockbuster, and it proved to work. For a while. The opening act shows catastrophic events taking place on Krypton, a revival of the opening in the 1978 Superman, but goes on in detail to why the events happened. The film moves on to focus on the Man of Steel developing and learning his powers, as the audience are told how he gains them, which is useful for someone like me who doesn't read the comics. The film eventually loses interest when Kal-El hands himself over to General Zod, brilliantly played by Michael Shannon. The music from the amazing Hans Zimmer once again becomes a large talking point, as this could be the only possible contender for an Oscar from Man of Steel, but I wouldn't hold my breath. Overall, the film's not a major disappointment. However, there are some areas, such as the end, that leave the fans a little disinterested. That's all we have time for tonight. Thanks for joining us.